Hey, what is up everyone? Today I'm taking a look at the Metal Build Exia Repair III. As with any of the Metal Build reviews I've done so far, this video would not have been possible without those absolutely fantastic people over at Buy. So if you're looking to get something that really isn't available anymore, is rare, premium Bandai, etc., then you will always find it on Buy. I always do. Link down there in the description. So when it comes to Gundam mobile suits, Exia has to be one of my favorite. Even from 00, I preferred to the 00 upgrade. It's just so cool. It's a lightly armored, lightweight, agile mobile suit with some of the coolest weapons around. To me, the design is almost perfection. At the same time, I do love the heft of 1/100 scale, so I've always found the Master Grade Exia to be a little bit on the disappointing side, and considering we're getting some great Master Grades of the other mobile suits, we've gotten Dynamez, Kyrios, Virtue is on the way soon, I wanted something that would fit in a little better with them, look a little better, and feel a little better for posing with those particular mobile suits. So, the closest thing out there to a 1/100 Master Grade that isn't a 1/100 Master Grade is Bandai's Metal Build. So of course these are action figures, and premium action figures at that. So they do cost quite a bit more than their Master Grade counterparts. I'll throw that up on the screen right now. And I do find so far that some are good and others are great. I found the Amatsuhana to be good, and I found the Astrea to be fantastic, so I assume the Exia right here will be something like that. I'll also mention the one I got here, I bought pre-owned from a Japanese recycle store, so this is pretty much the cheapest Metal Build Exia I could find. This variant is the Exia Repair III. So when it comes to the Exia Repair III, I thought that's what I'd be getting, the Exia Repair III. What I did not realize is, inside of this box you get the standard Exia, possibly in an alternate color, but it is the standard Exia with a bunch of parts to convert it into the Exia Repair III, which, well, honestly drives me mad. Because now I'm like, which one do I want? Exia or the Repair III? But anyway, moving on into the aesthetics, and there it is side by side straight away with what I'm going to be comparing it to throughout this review, which is the Master Grade Exia, and that particular one is the Ignition mode. So a lot of you guys said that the Master Grade Exia has gotten a little bit better in recent years, that it's not as bad as it was when it first came out. What I have here is an original. I actually have the Master Grade Exia Repair III on the to-do pile as well, so hopefully I will be able to get around to that sometime soon so I can see just what a, well, modern Master Grade Exia is actually like. But before we do a comparison, let's take a look at the Metal Build Exia Repair III in standard Exia mode first. So that is essentially what we got out of the box, just I threw the GN drive into its back. Now let's take a look at it. So there's that full 360 spin of the Metal Build Exia Repair III in standard Exia mode. So once again, this does have a little bit of a sheen as far as I can see that almost looks like it's crackling off a tiny little bit of Trans Am. But I will talk about that a little bit more when it's beside the Master Grade. But when it comes to metal builds, a lot of the time they are a little bit of a redesign of the mobile suit. You see that a lot with stuff like the Metal Build Destiny, which looks so much cooler than the standard Exia. At least I think it does. But this right here almost seems like it is just a standard Exia. Nothing really has been changed so much. It does have some small hands and some small feet like we saw on the Astrea, and in general this thing looks fantastic. Some of the things that are really standing out to me are those brilliant looking GN condensers. Inside of those we actually have some painted parts, which looks phenomenal. That is really effective. As well as that, we do have a lot of other clear parts in the upper body, including some in the GN drive, which looks really nice. A lot of decaling all over the place, and the head, shoulders, body, everything on this looks phenomenal so far. Anyway, let's get this compared to the Master Grade. So once again, there it is side by side with the Master Grade Exia. Once again, this is the Ignition mode. So honestly, compared to some Metal Builds and Master Grades, their comparison, there isn't really a whole lot different here, really. If you ignore aspects like the decals, which you can add to the Master Grade if you want, the detailing, the paint, there isn't really a whole lot of physical real differences between them two. So Bandai Tamashii Nations really did stick to the general original design, and even a little bit more so I think than the actual Master Grade does. What stands out to me the most out of all the differences between these two is the GN wire thingamabobber in the front of Exia's leg. The one in the Master Grade is very, well, short. It has a lot of plastic either side, so you can get that little plastic piece into it. Whereas the one we see right here on the Metal Build that has a longer wire segment inside of it, so that is a little bit more accurate to the original Exia. And once again, the parts are different. This is paint over some clear green, I think, whereas what we have on the Master Grade is a pearlescent blue. But without a single doubt, the biggest difference between the two is the size of the hands and the size of those feet. The Master Grade Exia has colossally big feet. Doesn't really help with the fact that it does fall over quite often, but the tiny little feet on the metal build, I love those. It looks so much more agile, less cumbersome, totally less functional maybe, but they do look cool and compact. Once again, like I mentioned before, the color on the Metal Build Exia Repair III looks like it's got a little bit of Trans Am going on, because it looks like there's a little bit of reddishness inside of the blue. It's not a pure blue, and the yellow does look a little orange. I'm not sure if this is the case with the standard Metal Build Exia or not, or if this is just a way to differentiate both metal builds, that they are different figures, and this one is a little bit more Trans Am-y. So now moving into the accessories, and here is the Metal Build Exia with everything that it comes with. So of course that is the Metal Build Exia, the full base and stand. All of these accessories still in the packaging right here. These are for converting it to the Exia Repair III, so I didn't take them out yet. And as for the weapons, we've got the GN long rifle, the shield part for the GN sword, which includes a blade for the GN sword and the GN sword Kai, the standard GN shield, the GN long and short blades, beam sabers with long beams and short beams, and finally then we've got a bunch of adapter parts for attaching stuff onto Exia. Now let's check everything out one by one. So first up, taking a look at the hands, and the hands that have been on here the whole time are a pair of fists. As for the other expressive hands we have in here, that is a pair of widespread open hands. Changing these is simple, just pull them off, plug them back in again like that, and usually first time, these can be a little bit tight. So now moving on to the weapons, and this is one of my all-time favorite Gundam weapons, that is the GN sword. First off, it attaches like a shield into the forearm. The beam rifle aspect of it then can attach into the hand, and we do have two choices in here for blades. That is the standard GN sword blade, which is this one right here, looking like a big slab of awesome metal. This can either be kept back Tonfa style while the beam rifle is being used like so, flipped up into a kind of Tonfa style arm blade, or flipped up once again into a full-on sword. This is such a cool weapon. It's so variable, so compact, and just looks badass. So the alternate part we have in here, which just involves popping the blade off, then popping on the new blade, is the blade for the GN Sword Kai. Now this is pretty much the same, it does everything the same as what we saw before, except it is a more narrow, translucent, more technically advanced blade. So this can be used in every single form we would have seen before. That is in sword mode, like this right here, flipping it down ever so slightly, and we've got that more arm-mounted sword Tonfa kind of vibe, and then that blade can flip all the way back, revealing that beam rifle. So once again, same weapon, different blade. Next up in here, we've got the shield. Once again, this is in matching colors to the unit itself, looking really damn good, I might add. We've got some cool, reflective, clear green parts. On the surface, we've got a celestial being decal, and this has two modes, the open mode like this right here, and you can shut them just like so. So next up in here, we've got a pair of beam sabers. First off, here are the long blades. Just like we would have seen with the Estrella before, these have a kind of almost invisible but still there pearlescent glow towards the end at the handle. Also, I will mention we do have two different pairs of holding hands in here, a standard pair of holding hands, and these ones here at a cool extended angle, which can give you some really dynamic poses like what you're seeing right here. This is really nice. The extended wrists allow for flashy, dynamic slashing attacks, and honestly, I'd love to see this more in some master grades. As we usually see with the Exia, as well as the long pair of beam blades, we also have a pair of short beam blades too. When the beam sabers are not in use, you can just remove them from the hands and they can be stored round here on the butt flap. The ones on the butt flap have a whole bunch of articulation that can swing up and out, and we also have some storage points up on the backs of the shoulders that can swing up like so. Next up then, we've got the GN long and short blades. These attach into the exact same hands as the beam sabers, so you can use normal style or these extended style. I love these extended style. Just look how dynamic the GN swords look like that. The reversed grip looks really cool, and the extended grip looks great as well. This is so dynamic. This really suits Exia. If we do get a Master Grade 2.0, I want hands like these. When these are not in use, they can be stored on the hips, but with the metal build, we do not have any kind of pull-out mechanism. So what we have to do is pop off these little caps, stick in these little alternate parts, and these have ball joints up top for attaching on the GN long and short sword. And that right there, that is what they look like attached. Nice and solid. So now I think it's about time to convert the Exia right here into the Exia Repair III like it says on the front of the box. Now this is pretty simple, you just strip off a whole lot of parts and these come off quite easily. It's not like a model kit where the parts fit together extremely tightly. These actually, I wouldn't say they're loose, they're just easy to separate. You can strip Exia way down to the metal frame, there's lots of parts that can come off. I took off too many on the legs than I needed to, and then adding everything back on is just as simple as taking it off. And this, you know, makes Exia look quite a bit different, but at the same time look kind of the same. I do forget sometimes just how much I like the design and the color layout on the Exia Repair III. Now let's check it out. So the last weapon we have in here is the absolutely cool GN long rifle. So in order to attach this, you first stick on this little adapter segment that attaches onto the arm with a nice opening segment on the left. The GN rifle then just attaches neatly onto that. When you close up the adapter, it locks that rifle into position, and that is what it looks like attached. This is once again looking just as good as the rest of Exia. It's nice and it would be nice if I actually flipped out the sight segment properly, but yeah, it's long, it's awesome, and when it's not in use, you're actually able to extend this piece right here and flip it all back just like the GN sword. Pretty cool, compact, and awesome. So now moving on to the articulation, and there is a couple of things I'll mention about this before checking out the individual joints. First off, the biggest difference between this right here and something like the Master Grade is the articulation this thing packs in. This is a posing masterpiece, but at the same time I will mention that this is pre-owned, so it does feel a little bit on the loose side to some degree. But, you know, even though it does feel a little loose while you're moving it, it always does hold the pose that you put it in, due to that heavy, awesome die-cast frame. But there is one odd aspect about this. Once again, because it's pre-owned, whoever had this last glued the clavicle antennas in place, so they no longer move. The neck is rocking a double-jointed giggity goo, and besides that, the ball joint up top and the hinge down below give you pretty much all you'd want from a neck. So far, so good. In normal Exia style fashion, we do have some articulation in the chest where it attaches to the arm, so that is a bit of up and down and forward and back, including the shoulder. We get a nice little bit towards the front. I will mention though, the Exia Repair III shoulders don't hold on as well as the standard Exia ones do, so these tend to pop off quite a bit. Next up, we have the full 360 spin at the upper arm. If anything falls off from here on out, I am leaving it off. We've got nice forward and back inside the shoulder of the arm. And there's the arm all the way up, and if you want any higher than that, you will have to flip the arm just like so. We've got the full spin just above the elbow, and at the wrist we've got some flexion and rotation, but getting what you want out of the hands on this can be a little bit awkward. We have a killer ab crunch with this kit, a little one to the back which is nice too, so the full range of motion is very nice. However, we do not get any kind of side-to-side tilt in here. Last up then, we've got the full 360 spin at the waist. The front skirting armors can flip up and down like so. Around back we've got a double premium butt flap that can flip up and down just like the front. As for the kicks, there it is all the way up to the front. We lost the front skirting armor, hyperextend that leg and off it comes. There it is out to the back, a little bit blocked but not too bad. And as for the splits, the Metal Build Exia cannot pull off the full splits. Next up, we've got a full spin at the upper thigh, a very nice double jointed bend at the knee, some shifting armor at the rear of the ankle as well as up front. So yeah, on the whole, the articulation on this is a little bit of a mixed bag, but mainly on the good side. The articulation is great. The fact that this does have a die-cast inner frame means the center of balance is very low, so it can hold its poses extremely well. But we can have the occasional part popping off if you're not careful, and it would be nice to have a little bit more of a side crunch in here. Otherwise, pretty much perfect. So anyway, that is it for my review of the Metal Build Exia Repair III. I do love this figure, it is absolutely fantastic. However, I don't love it quite as much as I loved the Metal Build Estrella. It is similar for the most part, it has a lot of cool aspects, and I'm not sure what it is about the Estrella I like more. Maybe it's the fact that the armor isn't designed to come off, so it feels a little more sturdy. Maybe it's the fact that it comes with some awesome accessories. Or maybe it's because the Estrella is just beautiful. But the Exia right here is a fantastic figure. If you're looking for an alternative to the Master Grade, which could be better, then this is a great alternative, especially if you do not want to put the time into painting, decaling, repairing, etc., all that stuff, to a master grade Exia. In the meantime, while waiting for a potential 2.0, you could get this. That's what I did. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gundam reviews, and I will see you next time. As always, this video right here would not have been possible without each and every one of you guys who watches my videos, including those of you who help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including Craig Jerry, Van Fawn, Sean T, Mr. Winter, Lauren Seahack, Joseph Kuklock, Global Frequency Studios, Forsetti, Caleb Engelhart, and Bakito Official.